Okay, YouTube, this is a closer look at my F330 on the bench here. In case I forgot anything outside when I was flying it. Basically, I took a solid piece of foam here and mounted my board camera to it. I know you can buy cases for them, but I figured this would be like the lighter option. Down here, I needed more room to get in front of the propellers, so I took some of this extremely light aluminum, and this is from an old shower like towel rack, extremely light, and I cut about where I needed to be and velcroed it to this platform here, which just wasn't enough room for what I was trying to do. And this way I can get the propellers out of the way, and then the Mobius mounts underneath. And I'm thinking about maybe putting a couple LEDs in there. I haven't decided yet. And I wanted to keep the top as clear as I could. I do have a little patch of Velcro here where I mount my little 13 milliamp 3S battery, and again that powers the camera, the video transmitter, and I have a microphone right here, right next to my voltage alarm, and I can get a full day's flight out of it without any issues. Today I flew three 500 milliamp, three 5000 milliamp hour 4S batteries, and to achieve that I mounted a piece of Tupperware down here, cut into it, and then placed some foam. Now my screen went on again. Placed some foam there on the sides to give it some retention to where it won't move out. And for my smaller batteries, I just put a piece of foam on top of it to give it some retention also. And then I just drilled some holes and zip tied all around there. And then inside underneath you can see my power distribution board. And that left me room for my KK2.1 control board. It is a pain in the ass to tune it, because you have to take this plate off each time you want to adjust it, but once you get it tuned in, you don't really have to mess with the KK2 anymore, other than the buttons down here if you want to calibrate the ESCs or whatever. As you can see, I soldered the bullet connectors on directly to the ESCs, and this allowed me to get rid of a lot of the excess wire. And I'm running the Blue Series 30 amp ESCs, and I have them flashed with Simon K. And then on this 330 I'm running 8-inch props. I heard you can run 9, but it runs just fine with 8-inch, and even with the 8-inch it's cutting it pretty close, as you can see. There's maybe 2 inches there to play with. So you can't have anything, you can't have much on the top with big props, or else you're going to run into problems. And what I put on top doesn't come anywhere close to the props. I have plenty of clearance, so everything's good. So with this setup, I mounted the antennas underneath for better reception, and also due to the props. I have my 5.8 600 milliwatt transmitter here, and my FreeSky receiver here. And for that I just took some zip ties, and then I took little strips of heat shrink, and I heat shrunk the antenna to the zip tie. That way if I land on something and there's like a rock here or something, there's a lot of flex here, and it doesn't damage the antennas. And also it gives me a lot of good signal strength being mounted inverted like that. For the legs, of course I had to put legs on here to get any kind of clearance for my big 5,000 milliamp batteries. And for those I just took, this is some pieces from an old skid gear, kind of like the one I have hanging up there. But it was the one that came with one of my kits a long time ago, and it broke, and I just took the pieces and cut them and zip tied them and then hot glued them. And if you're wondering why I put them at an angle like that, it allows me to land in areas that don't have a lot of surface. With my 500, there were so many places I had wanted to set my quad down and I couldn't because it was so wide, and this way it kind of saves me a little space, and I can land on a little platform or whatever that's narrower than the frame. Like I said, I'm just using cheap Turnigy D2830s, 1000 kV. I think you can get them for $9 or $10 if you order them internationally. Some people sell them on eBay for $20 a pop or something, but anyways, they're cheap and easy to replace. I think only I've ever had to replace one. It was after a bad crash due to some Wi-Fi interference. But yeah, it's a good little quad, and I'm glad that I downsized because this quad is more agile, and it's small enough to where I can do some proximity flying, kind of like the little 250 racers, and it's not so big that you can't, do some park flying or whatever. And I'll show you which one I'm talking about. This was the one that I downsized from. This is the TBS Discovery clone from Hobby King. It's a Reptile 500 or something like that. I can't remember. I put legs on that as well. Anyways, I may do something else with this. I haven't decided yet. There you go. Lighter, more agile, faster, and a lot easier to carry with me in my truck as opposed to the other one. So